I want to welcome you. We're convening the November 15th, 2018 Planning Commission. Let's take a roll.
Chairman Barry.
Here.
Vice Chair Latour. Commissioner Bynum. Commissioner Cox.
Here.
Commissioner Finney. Commissioner Hamilton.
Here.
Commissioner Haynes. Commissioner Leahy. Here. Commissioner May.
Here.
Commissioner Stebbins. And Commissioner Thomas. Here. You have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. All right, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes from October 4th?
I'll move that those minutes be approved.
Do I hear a second for that?
I second those.
Okay, been a motion to approve the minutes, been seconded for October 4th meeting. Those approved, raise your hand. Those who do not approve, okay, it's been approved. So let's go with the presentation of the consent agenda, please.
Following is a consent agenda for the Little Rock Planning Commission Planning Rezoning Conditional Use Hearing of November 15, 2018. All the items are on consent approval. We'll start with item number 1, file number Z8486B, Newton Group Home Special Use Permit, 3517 West 25th Street. Staff recommends approval of the special use permit to allow continued operation of a group home at 3517 West 25th Street, subject to the following conditions. A maximum of 8 handicap residents will be allowed with 2 live-in house managers, and compliance with all requirements is found in section 3654E4 of the code. Item number 2, Z9314A, Newton Group Home Special Use Permit, 8104 Stanton Road. Staff recommends approval of the special use permit to allow continued operation of a group home at 8104 Stanton Road, subject to the following conditions. A maximum of 5 handicap residents will be allowed with 1 live-in house manager, and compliance with all requirements is found in section 3654E4 of the code. Number 3, Z9370, a rezoning from R2 to C1, 8900 South Heights Road. Staff recommends approval of the requested C1 rezoning. Item number 4, Z9371, a rezoning from I2 to R4, 2701 Barber Street and 2705, 2800, and 2818 Welch Street. Staff recommends approval of the requested R4 rezoning. Item number 5, LU 181901, a land use plan amendment in the Chenal Planning District from residential low density to office, northeast of the Rawling Road, Kirk Road intersection between Chenal Village Circle and Rawling Road. Staff believes the change is appropriate since the office use is complying with the other non-residential uses, and since it will not affect the current residential use density along Rawling Road. Item 5.1, Z9372, a rezoning from R2 to 03, north side of Rawling Road, east of Kirk Road. Staff recommends approval of the requested 03 rezoning. Item number 6, Z9373, a rezoning from C2 to C3, northeast corner of Rawling Road and St. Vincent Way. Staff recommends approval of the requested C3 rezoning. Item number 7, Z8263B, Sullivan Duplex, conditional use permit, 310 North Van Buren Street. Staff recommends approval of the requested CUP, subject to compliance with the comments and conditions outlined in sections 5 and 6 of the agenda staff report. Item number 8, Z8669B, Martinez Accessory Dwelling Conditional Use Permit, 8505 Callahan Road. Staff recommends approval of the requested CUP, subject to compliance with the following conditions. Compliance with the comments and conditions outlined in sections 5, 6, and 7 of the agenda staff report. Placement of the manufactured home must conform with the siting criteria as found in section 36262D2 of the city zoning ordinance, and the second dwelling on the site must be occupied by a family member of the property owner and not rented. Item number 9, Z9369, Valley Springs Cottages Community Building, conditional use permit, southwest corner of Geyer Springs Road and Valley Drive. Staff recommends approval of the requested CUP, subject to compliance with the following conditions. Compliance with the comments and conditions outlined in sections 4, 5, and 6 of the agenda staff report. And the management office community building may be utilized by residents of the Valley Springs Cottages subdivision only. Item number 10, LU 1702, Northwestern Area Land Use Plan Amendment, north of Chenal Parkway, Chenal Parkway / Canis Road, and west of Interstate 430. And Mr. Malone has a brief synopsis of this.
Mr. Chairman, this is a package of land use plan amendments in the area that Mr. Moore described that are intended to reflect the way the properties are currently being used and or zoned 90% or better of the times. Some of them are floodways, floodplains that are being recognized, like for Rock Creek and Nolan Creek and a couple others. There are two changes to the package from what was originally mailed to the property owners, and I'd like to go over those two changes. One is the removal of 1C on this drawing. That's at the corner of Crockett and Cantrell Road. That's a property that's currently zoned R2, and the property owner would like the option of residential, and so he wants to stay with transition on that property. So that's one that will be removed from the package. And then if you go to the 4 revised, yes, that one. This is the package in area 4. There's a 4B is the area that's being revised. This is what it would look like once revised. The originally 4B went all the way over to the creek or drainage way there, and that the property there is currently undeveloped, and the property owner wants to do a development that would be in conformance with the MOC, which is what it's shown now, a true office and commercial mixed use. And so that the rest of the area, the MOC, are offices, and so it's consistent with what that property is being used, the remainder of 4B. So those are the only two changes to the package over what was mailed out to the property owners, and unless you want me to go over the additional changes. So what we would be recommending is approval of the package with these two amendments taken out of the package.
And the final item on consent approval is item number 11, file number A333, CT&P Lawson Annexation, 12620 Lawson Road. Staff recommends approval as submitted. That concludes the consent agenda.
Okay. I noticed a few people have come in since you began the reading of the consent agenda. Those that just came in, did you wish to speak to any item? I want to be sure we have cards and that recognize you for speaking later or now, before we make a motion on the consent agenda. You got it?
9371.
Which one is that?
Rezoning on Barber and Wells Street.
This one, okay. Could you fill out a card, please, and bring it on up? Are you speaking for or against? Are you asking some questions?
I'm not sure what it's at. Has the city already sold the lots?
Just go ahead and fill out a card. Anyone else?
That's speaking on Barber Street.
Yeah, same thing.
Here we go. So y'all have some questions about the Barber Street?
No, this is guys.
And yours is what? Okay, your Gar Springs. Which one is that? For the cottages? Okay. You'll have to indulge the chair. These people just came in, so people can't get off work in time. Okay. Valley Drive Apartments. You want to speak to the cottages? Okay. This is why I was asking people to fill out cards, but some came in late. So let's go ahead and do that. And he's got the one on Barbara. So the one I anticipate we will be taking off on putting on a regular agenda is the cottages on Gar Springs, and then the application for Barber. I'm not going to call on you yet. Did you fill out a card?
No, but I will.
Okay.
You have another one? I gave mine one.
Oh, I do not have one. Okay. City Director Adcock, did you wish to fill out a card? Okay. Is there a staff concern?
No. just to reiterate, you have items now, items A, 4, and 9
Okay,
on the regular.
that's what I want to be sure of.
And then on the Barber and Welch, I'll probably need to speak to those because we foreclosed on those for a very specific purpose.
Oh, sure. That's fine.
Thank you.
Okay, so now you have heard the consent agenda without items A, 4, and 9. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
I move that all the items on the consent agenda, subject to the conditions as read, be approved.
Okay, here a second.
I second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Those approved, raise your hand. We have 6. Okay, the consent agenda has been approved. For those that had an item on the consent agenda, you may be excused, or you can stay and hear the rest of the items. We're going to hear items A, 4, and 9 in just a second as we transition to the regular agenda. And I want you be sure to give me your card, those folks that were wanting to speak on these other items. Please. Okay. Okay. Which one did you want to speak to? Okay. All right. Well, we're going to start with item A.
Mr. Chairman, before we go forward, you need to offer the applicants the opportunity to defer.
Yes. As practice, when we have 8 or less commissioners present, you need 6 affirmative votes. So we offer the applicants, if they wish to defer the item, they may take advantage of that option at this time. So the applicants for item A, the outreach garden, and number 9, the cottages. The city's the one for item 4. Is that correct? Okay. Okay. Hearing none.
Going forward?
Okay.
Going forward?
Yes.
Item A, file number Z 9291-A, Word of Outreach Prayer Garden, revised conditional use permit located at 2700 Brown Street. In March of this year, the Planning Commission approved a conditional use permit to allow Word of Outreach Ministry to develop a prayer garden on the vacant R3 zone property located at 2700 Brown Street. At that time, the site contained only a concrete slab that remained from the removal of a dilapidated house. The ministry had previously been given permission to place a small storage building on the slab to store their lawn equipment and the like. The prayer garden was proposed to contain a gazebo structure and several areas for reading, praying, or meditating. Each of the meditation areas was to have a bench where persons could sit. Ground level speakers were to be placed at each prayer meditation area to play quiet music to be heard only upon entering the prayer garden. The various prayer stations were identified with signage. During the Planning Commission review process, the applicant offered some amendments to the application. Fencing and an entrance gate with lock to be placed around the prayer garden. Hours of operation to be 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. No additional lighting to be placed in the prayer garden. The sound system, which is the listening area at the prayer stations, to only function during the hours the prayer garden is open. There were to be no improvements such as benches and chairs and things placed in the prayer garden until the fencing was erected around the site. prayer garden not to be available for public access until the gate with fence and lock were installed. And if any word of outreach students, parents, or staff desire to visit the prayer garden prior to the installation of the fence, they had to bring their own chairs, that kind of thing. The prayer garden has been completed. Fencing was installed. The prayer stations have been installed. There was a dedication event held in conjunction with commemorative services on September the 11th. Word of Outreach is now requesting an amendment to that approved conditional use permit to allow for additions to the prayer garden, creating what is being called an open-air sanctuary without walls. The proposed improvements consist of an 8 by 16-foot building, split roughly in half, containing an 8 by 8 handicap accessible restroom and an 8 by 8 storage space for chairs, tables, and umbrellas to be used during functions held in the prayer garden. Also proposed are 2 gazebo buildings and a cover over that concrete slab. In response to questions that were raised by the subdivision committee, the applicant did submit some additional information as follows: the frequency of events or services related to the prayer garden would again be between 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Individuals can enter the prayer garden with services of a facilitator per request to the 24-hour prayer hotline, specifically for the purpose of meditation, prayer, reading, or relaxation. The question was raised regarding how many events and the timing of events. The applicant responded that there were no future events currently scheduled. However, if there were to be any, the city would be notified. Question was raised again regarding the speakers, what noise might be generated by the site. The applicant responded, again, the only speakers to be used are the aforementioned speakers at each of the prayer stations. If there's a special gathering that requires speakers or amplification due to a community function, again, a permit would be requested for such activities, and there would be no additional lighting. As you know, staff was supportive of the initial application for the prayer garden. We viewed the use of this property primarily as a space where individuals could come for times of reflection and meditation and prayer. It was to be a quiet use that would, at least in staff's opinion, fit within the community and be of benefit to the community. The applicant responded to the issues and concerns that we raised regarding control of the site and security of the site. All of those issues were addressed. However, we're not able to support this amendment to the conditional use permit. The application is now proposed, in our opinion, changes the use of the property from that quiet, individual-oriented place of meditation and prayer to more of a corporate function. We have concerns regarding the lack of parking on the site, the potential impact on cars in the neighborhood since there is no parking on the site. In addition, the possible increase in level of activity and number of more corporate formal activities on the site, we feel could have a negative effect on the adjacent single-family homes. And as such, staff is not able to support this requested amendment to the CUP.
Thank you, staff. Is the applicant here? I believe you were here before, gave a worthy sermon.
Not this time.
Well, that's okay. But you can tell us a little bit about what's different about this, and then we do have one card in opposition, so we'll make time for that.
Actually, the only thing that I'm asking for is a public restroom. Nothing else has changed. I did not request for an open-air sanctuary without walls. I don't know how that came about. But what I'm asking for is when our students come to plant and tend to the garden, they have to use the restroom. When I go there, I'm 66 years of age. When I go there and work, and tend to the garden, I have to use the restroom. And so basically, when we had the open dedication, we had a Brenda toilet, and that worked for that day, but we can't afford to have a Brenda toilet every day, and we never know when people will come. The things that Mr. Carney mentioned,
Speaking to the mic.
the things that Mr. Carney mentioned had already been spoken of as far as the gazebos. So I'm not understanding how he thinks there's going to be more activity based upon asking for a restroom. For somebody comes there for quiet time, prayer, meditation, they may be there 10 minutes or they may be there 3 hours. And I don't think they need to have to go run somewhere to look for a bathroom. So that's all I'm asking for. It's the approval to put a public restroom there for us that are there tending to the grounds, as well as those who would come for meditation. So if there's a problem with having a public bathroom, you have public bathrooms at parks, you have public bathrooms at community, when people are driving down the highways, they have to stop at rest areas. They're public bathrooms. I can't imagine having given us a permit to have a place for people to go and pray, and you deny us having a public restroom.
Okay, we'll have staff further clarify some of the issues, but I do have a card. I need to recognize Mr. Donald Mitchell. Do you want to come to the lectern?
Do I need to sit down?
Yeah, go ahead and be available.
Good evening, board members. I'm back again and dealing with the same person again. I was opposed of her having a prayer garden in the beginning. And I'm going to just lay this out. I'm going to get in here quick, and this is related. Well, I can understand Ms. Smith is kind of suffering from claustrophobic since she wants to sublet her church out and move on down into the neighborhood. It's a noise. It's a problem. I knew it was going to be a problem. When they had a little function in September, there were cars on both sides of the place, and she had a nice little parking lot over there for people to both park, but she didn't show the common courtesy of having that done. It was loud, and she came right here and said, "Oh no, oh no," and I'm thinking, we know better than this. Every time she comes and she'll say, "Oh, we're only going to do this and we're only going to do that," it's more. And it's just a continual battle with what she wants to do. The whole thing is, Miss Smith would like to own our neighborhood. She'd like to own it. So, yeah, we fought with the trailers. We had, a few years back, she wanted to have, a graveyard there. All of that is to degrade the property, so the property value will go down, will be little or nothing, or people will sell for a little or nothing. And what we want to do is we want to build our neighborhood up. I've been there 44 years, and I see nothing but good things about it. And I know we're in close proximity to wherever you want to go, you can get there, to the freeway. It's a great place. And so I just like for us to be allowed to have some people to move in and feel good and not be bombarded with this fire and brimstone stuff that she wants to do. It hurts. It's hurt our growth. And I want us to grow. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell, for your comments. Staff, could you clarify the issues with this application, why it's different from the previous one?
Under the initial approval, the Planning Commission granted approval for a gazebo to be placed on the property. Under this application, can we go to the sketch, please? under this application as far as improvements that are being proposed. You see there are 2 gazebos and then the concrete slab. Build a covering over the existing Chamber of Operations building, which is a small building on the slab. This covering will also cover 2 of the main seating areas that are on either side of the building on the concrete slab. So you have the addition of the covering over the concrete slab plus another gazebo. And again, I'm uncomfortable opposing a prayer garden. We support the concept of the prayer garden. The concept of an open-air sanctuary without walls for the gathering of God's people to pray is clearly stated on the application cover letter submitted by the applicant. This is not a term that staff made up. This is a term that was submitted by the applicant. So the addition of the restroom facilities, the addition of the seating covering, the addition of another gazebo, we feel does begin to change the nature of this prayer garden to a more corporate worship area.
Thank you for that clarification. Applicant, you're welcome to get back up and speak.
As I said before, our main goal is to have a restroom for us to be there when we're there. The open air sanctuary is a concept that God's people can gather in a place that's open air and pray. It's not for us to come there and have service. That's not what I meant when I said open air sanctuary. A sanctuary is a place where you can go for quietness, for rest, for relaxation. You make it a place of comfort. So that's what this prayer garden is. And I invited all of you to come on the day of dedication so you could see it. And everything that you requested of us has been done. And all of these other things, it's just fear of what will happen if we have a bathroom there. That's all I'm asking for. The gazebo, if having 2 gazebos is a problem, we'll just have the one that you already said we could have. If have on the slab, we already talked about that in the very beginning, that we would eventually have a covering there. So when we meet, you don't remember us talking about that?
No,
Oh.
Chairman Barry.
Yes.
Chairman Barry, that is, we went off as Dana read the letter for the application. What the applicant is proposing now is a major change in that application. We did not present it to the subdivision committee that reviewed it, nor sent the stuff out or done all the write-up based upon a bathroom or a restroom. If that is the case at this point in time, staff would request a deferral of this item so that it can be reviewed in the light of what it is apparently going to be amended to, which is just the bathroom.
As from what I'm understanding, applicant, you're amending your application to be where only the bathroom is an issue, and we talk about with staff and defer this item, or you want to proceed with your application as it is and vote?
Well, I guess we need to clarify it, because if the staff cannot recommend it, that means we're not on the same page in light of our requesting.
That's correct.
So we need to get on the
You'll
same
need 6
page.
affirmative votes to pass your application.
Yes. And so what we're asking for is the open air pavilion is a covering that if it's raining and somebody's sitting there, just like when you go to a park, they have a covering there. So you can sit and not be rained on. And the bathroom, that's all we ask for. And the additional storage, because all our tools are now having to sit outside because of what we've gathered there. So we need additional storage, bathroom, and the covering. That's all yeah. So
What's
we'll
the
go for
what's the
deferral.
poll staff on this?
It is either we have to vote on what Dana read, which is the application, which is the additional gazebo and that open-air pavilion, or we acknowledge that she wants that is just the bathroom only
Right.
and the storage building, and then that is a change enough in the application that will need to be deferred in, staff's recommendation.
Thank you for that. And I assume you agree with what he said? Is that correct? I'm not going to put words in your mouth, because we're going to entertain a motion to defer this item.
Yes, I
Okay.
think that would be proper.
Okay. Okay. Any commissioners, any observations, questions before we proceed to a motion to that effect?
Are there any recommendations that I need to consider when? Nothing.
No. Just
Okay.
you need to begin with staff, since you're deferring and
Get
going to
with
be
staff?
amending.
Your staff?
Yeah.
Okay.
For later hearing. So, do I hear a motion to defer?
I make a motion, we defer this until we get,
Clarification.
Be January 3rd.
The January 3rd hearing.
I make a motion to defer this to the January 3rd meeting.
Here a second?
I second.
Motion's been made a second to defer this item to the January 3rd meeting. Those approve of that, raise your hand. Okay. Got 6 votes to defer to January 3rd. In the meantime, it'd be incumbent on you to work with the staff
Thank you.
regarding these.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Mitchell, we do have your card, which means that for the January, is he gone? No. Oh, there you go. You moved on. So you'll be notified of that.
Could I have one more?
Well, I mean, there's that. Well, she's an applicant. They're given that. I know you're against it, and you'll have another. You can't.
I'd like to have a last word, so I can send this on home.
Well, I'm afraid it's been deferred. You'll have another last word January 3rd. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not cutting off debate. The debate's continuing. I understand your concern. Yes, sir. Okay, let's move on to item number 4.
Item number 4, file number Z9371, property located at 2701 Barber Street and 2705, 2800, and 2818 Welch Street, property owned by the City of Little Rock. The City of Little Rock owner of these properties located at 2701 Barber Street and 2705, 2800, and 2818 Welch Street is requesting to rezone the properties from I-2 Light Industrial District to R4 Two-Family District. The rezoning is proposed to allow future construction of one duplex structure on each of the 4 lots. The subject property is comprised of 4 non-contiguous lots with a total area of 68 hundredths of an acre. The lots are located within the Barber Avenue subdivision and Owens subdivision. These are of blocks 3 and 6 Watkins Edition. The subdivision is located south of East Roosevelt Road and west of Springer Boulevard. The lots are currently undeveloped and grass covered. The subject lots are located in an area predominantly zoned I-2. There are several single-family residences and a number of vacant lots within this subdivision. A few non-residential uses are located within the south and east portions of the area. Mixed commercial uses are located to the north along East Roosevelt Road. The city's future land use plan designates this property as mixed use, or MX. The requested R4 zoning does not require an amendment to the plan. Staff is supportive of the requested R4 rezoning. Staff views the request as reasonable. The property is located in an area comprised predominantly of single-family homes and undeveloped residential-sized platted lots. The construction of 4 duplex structures within this area will be only a minor increase in the original platted density. The new construction may help revitalize this small area of residential surrounded by commercial and industrial zone property. Staff believes rezoning these 4 lots to R4 will have no adverse impact on the adjacent properties or the general area. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the requested R4 rezoning.
Okay. Would the applicant like to speak to this?
We are the applicant.
Okay. You want to hear the cards first and then speak to them? Okay. We have 3 cards in opposition to this or with questions. Nathaniel Click. Come to the lectern and please provide your comments.
Yes, I'm Nathaniel Click. I live on 2807 Barber Street, and I'm here speaking on the homeless. They said they're going to put some homeless places in there on the city lots they have emptied in there. I'm trying to find out just what they're going to plan on building in there, you know.
Okay. We can answer that question. We'll go to the next cards, and staff will provide answers to your questions.
And I've been on there over almost about 50 years. We got it's a street there on 28th. It's caving in, and I don't complain about it so many times, but they never do nothing about it. The neighborhood is real bad over there. You know, they throw it off when they come through. They got stuff sitting on the curb. They don't pick it up, you know, they don't turn it in or something. I don't know what's going on with that deal, but lots be cutting a lot of time. I had to call in on them and try to get the grass cut over there. But that street, it used to be 2 cars when I first moved over there, but 2 cars could ride down that street. But now, okay, but 1 car could ride through it because they started caving in. And I would like to see something though done about it and find out what's going on with the homeless, the place that they're going to be building in there.
Okay. Well, thank you. The staff will be addressing your questions about that. Mr. Stan Hastings, please.
Thank you. My question is similar. We want to know who is building these duplexes. We're assuming there's a buyer for these lots once they're rezoned. Who is that builder and what is the use of the duplex? Is it an individual developer that's building them to rent them, or is this part of Jericho Way and the homeless situation down there? If it's a builder that's building them as an investment to rent them to the public, I don't think I'm opposed. If it's going to create some kind of transitional housing, we've got a problem with it. We've got a big problem that's growing down there with the homeless. We don't need anything else to attract them, I'll say at this point.
Your question's not so much the R4 zoning, it's the use.
The use, ultimately, what is that? Who is the person building it? And again, whether it's related to Jericho Way or somebody that's trying to build transitional housing, then we're opposed to that.
Okay. We'll address that. And then Ben Hertz. Did I get that correctly? Hertz. Thank you.
I have very much the same concerns as Mr. Hastings and Mr. Click. It was unclear by the notice that we got what exactly was going to be done with the property, who the buyer was, if it was going to be a public sale or not, if it's part of the Jericho Way, then we would also be opposed to it. We have a lot of people wandering around that area, not necessarily with a permanent home in the area, and there have been several times. I own the property at Roosevelt and Welch, the Russian upholstery supply, the warehouse there, and across from me there's a vacant lot right next to a church that the church has approached the man about selling it. He won't do it. There's a guy living in his van there, and there's a permanent tent on the property, and I've called the city multiple times, and code enforcement doesn't act on any of the complaints that we put in. I don't think it's supposed to be allowed to park a van on the grass there, and he's harassed the customers that I have coming into our establishment. We don't need any more of this type of activity going on in the area. So, it all depends really on what the intent is for those lots. So, okay, that's all.
Thank you, Mr. Hartz. Staff, would you care to speak to those issues, please?
Some of those we can. Some of those issues that they raised, one regarding, we'll just get those out of the way, the roadway improvements. This is a rezoning application, and so this is not to address the roadways. But, however, if the citizen would get with staff, after this meeting, we'd be glad to take his request down for the areas. And as I understand, as far as the roadway, he feels that they are substandard at this time for the area. So we understand that, but this application does not fix the roadways. And also in addressing some of the code violation issues that people have called in on the area. Again, this is a rezoning. This rezoning does not address, I guess you would bring up a question of the parking, the deal. That's still a code violation that needs to be, called in. That's not what this is. Now, what this is, this area is I-2. It's been zoned I-2 for I don't know how long. But it never really, this area was used as industrial use. It was more used as housing. Started out for people to live in that would actually work in the plants or the factories that was, in that industrial zone. And it's just been there for a while, and it is over time, as you see in the zoning map above you, it's not really filled into its full potential. If it has, some of those homes have been torn down. I think there's also a flood zone in the area, flooding in the area. So there needs to be some type of redevelopment happen in this area. We do not believe that the redevelopment would come in any type of a commercial or industrial, or that land have already been developed to those points. What this is take the I-2 zoning and rezone it to R4, and this is to allow for duplexes to be built on the lot. Now, these duplexes will be reduced income duplexes, for the buyer. The buyer will be DePaul USA for that. When this does get rezoned. If it doesn't get rezoned, then this is not something that they will close on. But it is not homeless housing. It will be somebody that would rent the property. They will retain ownership of the duplexes that is built.
Okay. Thank you, commissioners. Questions, comments? Yes.
Is the, this is to staff, is this an extension of the Jericho Way outreach, the buyer is?
Jericho Way is the city of Little Rock, and DePaul USA manages Jericho Way for us, and that's that portion I was telling you. That is, these are not intended to be homeless, shelters or for the homeless. They are. When DePaul, was talking to us about this, the intent of it was to build the duplexes to rent. They are going to rent them, and they're going to be income-based rent. So I think the rent will be set at 30% or something like that, a percentage of their income. So income is needed for the rental of the units.
Okay. Does the city own this property?
Yes.
Okay. Other commissioners? Commissioner May.
I have a good friend that's a big worker in Jericho's Way, and he had called me on a situation like this. The way he described it, he said there's two types of homeless people. There's some that are just homeless because they want to be homeless, and there's some through loss of job, business collapsing. It's a family, and they're in a transition type situation. They're trying to get back on their feet, and they have the lower rent, and they're trying to get some of this undeveloped property. It'll put some action into the area, help it. But the way he described it, these are not people that are just the guys that are on the street that want a warm place to stay. These are people that have a family. He's gotten a job. It's usually a family unit that they're trying to get something going for. And they've had good success with these. But just homeless, he said that, and this was at a Bible study I go to, and he said this, I've learned a lot, because he said there's just two different groups of folks out there that are in trouble. And these that are willing, able to pay a 30% discount or whatever is what this is going to be, is my understanding.
Commissioner May, if I may piggyback that, I was the one that foreclosed on these as staff attorney, and they are targeting the people that you just described, particularly vets. We're wanting to provide housing for vets that are going through different programs. And so the VA will be very much involved in this. They'll be using some programs that Director Adcock also works with vets with and getting veterans housing. And so this is part of that program.
Question for staff, if this were to pass at this level, does it automatically go to the city board for consideration, or is that an appeal-based?
No, all zoning goes to the board.
Automatically, so there's a
Yeah,
secondary.
only conditional uses, because it is a conditional uses, but a straight zoning, it will go to the board for approval.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Yes? Do I hear a motion for this application, please?
Trying to find my button on it. I move for the approval of this item, including all comments and staff recommendations.
Okay. Motion is made to approve this application with staff recommendations. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Okay. It's been seconded, however you want to note that. Motion's been made and seconded to approve this application. Those approve this application, raise your hand. Those who do not, application carries 6-0. And this will advance to the city board, where there can be more discussion, I'm sure. For item number 9.
Item number 9 is file number Z9369. This is the Valley Springs Cottages Community Building Conditional Use Permit located near the southwest corner of Geyer Springs Road and Valley Drive. The property is owned by Valley Springs Cottages, and the applicant is Riley Shantz. The applicant is requesting approval of a conditional use permit to allow the construction of a community building / management office on a lot within the Valley Springs Cottages single-family subdivision. The lot will be located along the south side of Stillman Drive, which will extend from Geyer Springs Road to the west and tie into Stillman Drive to the south. The lot is currently undeveloped. The applicant proposes to construct a 1,775 square foot building near the center of the lot. The proposed building will be one story with a height of 19 feet. The purpose of the building is to have an office space for the property manager and to serve as a community building or a clubhouse for the tenants of the subdivision. The 24-foot wide paved driveway from Stillman Drive will serve as access to the building, and the 5 paved parking spaces will be located on the east side of the building. A small ground-mounted sign will be located near the northeast corner of the lot. The sign will have a height of approximately 6 feet and an area of approximately 18 square feet. The applicant did respond to issues raised at the subdivision committee meeting by providing additional information on the project to staff. The applicant did provide the sign details and building height, as was just mentioned. The applicant also noted that at the subdivision committee meeting that in addition to the proposed parking lot, parking will be available at the individual tenants' homes, and on-street parking will be allowed along Stillman Drive. To staff's knowledge, there are no outstanding issues associated with this application. Staff believes the proposed management office community building is an appropriate use for this lot within the Valley Springs Cottages subdivision. Many subdivisions throughout Little Rock have meeting and recreation spaces set aside within the subdivision for the residents. Staff believes the proposed management office community building will have no adverse impact on the subdivision or the surrounding uses. Staff recommends approval of the requested CUP subject to compliance with the following conditions: compliance with the comments and conditions outlined in sections 4, 5, and 6 of the agenda staff report, and the management office community building may be utilized by residents of the Valley Springs Cottages subdivision only.
Okay, thank you, staff. Is the applicant here, please? Keep in mind, you're welcome to speak in this presentation. The plat for the entire area of the cottage is not under question. It's only the change to the community building. So you only speak to that and only have one card.
I'm just here to respond, and if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I want to get your name right. Leroy Glens? Yes. Okay.
Yes, good evening. I was given the instructions if I came today that I could get full understanding and more clarity of what was going on to the project. Talked to Mr. Kantz, I think his name is Shantz, subdivision. The property stops at the very back of my house. All of the trees were taken out of the area there, and there's nothing there but chain link fence. And I was wondering, no one has said anything about beautification, if they were going to go back in with shrubbery, because it's like looking out of my back door against a brick wall. Also, I'm concerned about drainage, because it's going to be sitting on a pad, the building that they're building, and the water already runs down and floods the yards along there. I live on Saxony Circle, which is 1 block north of where they're building. Half a block, really. So it runs up to my property. No one has given us any kind of information about the structure or anything what's going on or how it would be done. I talked to the contractor, and he said that I guess he would be here. I guess that's the young man that was here, Riley, today, and so I could get more clarity of what was going on. The neighborhood is in a subdivision, Allendale subdivision, and no one know anything about it. I haven't received any kind of information of what it would be or what it would be for, other than the fact that it's cottages. And what does cottages represent? I mean, what are we talking here? Apartments or individual dwellings, or what's going on? I would really just want to get some clarity of what was going on, because this is sitting adjacent to my house, and it sits right up to my fence row. And so I don't have a clue.
Okay, thank you. The applicant can come up here. In the meantime, staff, this had gone through an application process for the plat, and the neighborhood was notified on Saxony of this before. Okay. Applicant?
Yeah, so this is 44 single-family homes, and to address the drainage concern, they are built up on pads. However, our site is graded in such a way that it will all drain to the center of the property. So we're not going to add to any problem that there currently is. If anything, we should help it, or it should stay the same. We're not going to contribute to it. And there's no plans to extend the chain link fence right now. I think we're going to rely on just that tree line that's currently there. So.
Public Works, you want to add anything to that, even though that's not really part of the application in terms of flooding, just for the neighborhood concern there?
Well, all I can say about it is that they have, the engineer for the project has provided us plans. He has addressed all of staff's comments. He has conducted a study of the drainage, and staff has signed off on those specific plans. We have set the finished floor for all of the structures to be above the proposed water surface elevation. We do not think this is going to make the drainage better downstream, but then at the same time, we do not think it's going to make it worse.
Thank you. As I'd mentioned before at the beginning, this application is just for a portion of this that's already been platted for a community building. So the question at hand and vote is for that office and community building. The plat was resolved in a previous hearing. Any questions, commissioners?
I'd like to ask the opposition one question, please.
Yes, sir.
You got to come back up.
Yeah.
Who's your neighborhood president of Allendale?
I'm not really sure. What's her name? Yes.
I know he was notified of this because I talked to the president of Southwest Little Rock just a few moments before this meeting started.
Mm-hmm.
And she said she had no response from anybody in Allendale about this meeting.
No one, excuse me, no one knew anything about Allendale. I didn't get a notice until about 2 weeks ago, was the first notice that I even got about the project. And it didn't go to my house, it went to my church. So no one in the neighborhood, that's why you didn't see anybody here today on Saxony Circle, because nobody was notified.
Thank you, sir.
Sir.
Staff, for this particular application, is it only for that property 200 feet from the southern corner of that property line for this one?
Well, if you note the sketch, the area in red is the entire subdivision.
I understand that.
And the black area is the lot where the building's going to go, and the notification would be from that lot.
From that lot,
From that
for
lot.
200 feet radius. Okay. Well, Saxony's not. I mean, see, he's in Saxony, north of there, so I don't know. As the birds fly.
I can respond to it.
Yes.
I actually filled out the public notices, and I did address several in Saxony Circle. So I don't know how many, but I did address several.
That notices went out?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Staff, could you look at that in your file, please, just for clarification? There seems to be a question on that. Just take a minute. Just a minute.
A total of 36 property owners were notified, and
Any in Saxony or Woodfield?
there are lots within the Allendale subdivision on the abstract list.
Okay. Okay. Commissioners, any other questions? Okay.
It appears that notification was given based on the entire subdivision and not just the lot in question.
Okay. So that would include Saxony.
Yeah, I'm looking at 71 Saxony, 67 Saxony, 73, 75. So there was lots in Saxony that was notified.
Okay, thank you. All right, commissioners, you want to move this application one way or another? Do I hear a motion?
Question, when does construction expected? When?
Well, the whole area's been excavated already.
I know, but when will construction with actual cottages?
Applicant?
We're just waiting on the final plat approval, and once that happens, then we'll start the building permit process and then construction shortly after that.
But all we're deciding today is just the community building, right?
Yeah, just the community building. Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you hear a motion?
Yes, yes, Mr. Chairman, I move for approval based on all staff comments and recommendations.
Do I hear a second? Okay, motion's been made, seconded for this application. Those approve the application, raise your hand. And those who do not, application fails, 5-1. You needed 6 affirmative votes. So, a conditional use permit, that is the end of the line, is that correct for, or can he?
The applicant can appeal it to the board of directors.
Okay. So opportunity for more discussion at that level, if so desired. Okay. That ends our regular agenda. Do I have anything for citizen communications? Hearing none, we stand adjourned.